All right, so let's do it. What we're going to do is install some Illustrator brushes and start the brush work. So here we have the lino cut example, and I've already started the brush work, but we're going to just take you through how to get started and what to look for when you are actually painting. If you go to the brush tool and the options, you open up the flyout menu and you go to the open brush library, and you see that these are all your default brushes in Illustrator. So these come with all installed when you open up Illustrator. So what we have are some brushes that I bought from Design Cuts, and they are specific to, they have a specific look. One set's called Woodcut brushes and the other is called Lino Cut. So we're going to go to Other Library, and you should have already downloaded these two sets. If you haven't, just go to our Google Classroom and you'll find them there. And the thing about Illustrator brushes, they have an extension that's a little bit confusing because it's the same extension as an Illustrator file. So be careful what you name your brushes once you've downloaded them. I'm going to open that up, and the whole library should open up in a separate window, right? And if it disappears, like you've gone to a different document, the library's gone, you could always find it up in the options, flyout menu, and then open brush library, and then you'll see all the brushes that you've installed. And if they're down here, they're really only installed for the time being, meaning if you were to close out of Illustrator, not your document, but if you were totally to close out of Illustrator, the lino cut brushes would not be there. You would have to reinstall them, right? So go there and I open it back up, and so there are the lino cut brushes. We're going to go ahead and install the other set as well. So again, you're in your brush tool, options, V, flyout menu, open brush library. I'm going to go to other library, and the other set the Risco woodcut brushes .ai. There's also another set of brushes that you're going to download for this assignment, and it's called Risco Subtle Ink Brushes .abr. So the .abr extension is specific to Photoshop brushes. So I'm going to go ahead and open up those AI brushes, and there they go. I'm going to just open this up a little more so you could see them. Right. So we're going to try out a couple of these brushes, and this is where really it's going to take some time. You have to get to know these brushes, and that includes changing the weight of them and also playing probably with the profile. So the weight, so I'm going to just choose one here. So the weight is under stroke and it's set by default 1 point. It's very likely you'll probably make it smaller than 1 point, right? So there are some default choices, but you could also plug in your own. You could, I could just go in there. I could go 0.8, and then that would change it as well. And you have that control. And then here's where you change the profile. Right? You're going to have to look at your layers and turn on the contour layer again. So remember, that was after you created the silhouette, you broke down your shape into simple contours that create nice shapes, and you're going to do each of these areas separately in a different layer. So for example, there I have up in the layers beak, right? So that's a contour there, and it's all in its own layer, so it's easy for me to manipulate and find. Remember, in Illustrator, it could get very complicated very quickly because every single brush stroke is actually a path. So you definitely want to have this well organized. Right? So before we get started, I think I'll do a smaller area. So before you do the detailed painting, you should lock some layers. So I'm going to lock the background layer because I'll be working on top of the background. I'm also going to lock the silhouette layer because I'll be painting on top of the silhouette and I don't want to accidentally do anything to it. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer all the way at the very top of the stack and call this the throat. So that triangular area is the throat. I've changed the stroke color to white, and I've changed the fill to none. And I've chosen, and I'm going to go down to the libraries again. This is a different way to access the libraries we just installed. The Risco set is simpler. Lino Cut set, there's some really cool brushes, but I think maybe a little too much. Maybe the bottom ones would work. Yeah, the bottom one would work. But the top ones I think are a little too much for such a small area, or unless you have a plan. So I'm going to go back to the Risco set and choose something fairly simple. I guess this looks really simple. Let's do that. Zoom in a bit more. And then start painting. And you should look at the shape. So we have a triangle, right? And you should think about the stroke direction. And also, you know, you're creating the triangle, but what are the strokes that are going to create this triangle? I think there may not be enough variation here. Let me see if I could. I'm going to change the contour. Not the contour, it's called the profile. And maybe I get something with a little bit more variation. Oh, nice. Okay. So I like that. So it might be good to alternate. You could see that when you pull down, right, you get the stroke looking one way, and if you pull up, the stroke looks the other way. So I'm just going to alternate. And the shorter my stroke, you can see the stubbier and thicker, right? So maybe that's something I want to do. Well, that doesn't work. Maybe I want to have this sense that as I move down, the strokes are getting shorter. So that's the kind of patterning you want to think about. So let's see. Maybe I want to go back and make the top ones a little longer. Too stubby, but it might be too crowded. I'll have to go in there, probably fix some things after the fact. All right. Interesting. This almost looks like fur to me. No, just too crowded. Yeah, it's too crowded down there. I'm going to have to fix that after the fact. So say that's my rough draft, all right? And I'm going to zoom out for a moment just to see what it looks like. And to really see what it looks like, I will have to turn off the contour. There we go. Huh. Yeah, I could see that definitely has possibilities. I like the feel of that. I think I just need to move some of the points around. So this is actually a very important part of the process. So once you've experimented a bit and you find a brush that you like and maybe a pattern of working through it that you like, you can then, so you notice that only took me 1 or 2 minutes to put in all the strokes. You'll probably try this area, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times and find the right brush and then also the right patterning. And then the time you're going to really spend is in activating each of these points and making sure that the negative space is working well. So like I would say this area right here is nice. The black creates a nice shape. But over here, it's too crowded. I don't know if I see the black as a shape. So that's really what you're aiming at. You know, we're working in white and we're paying attention to the white. But when we activate everything on the page, we're also paying attention to what happens in the negative space, which is the black here. So create a nice shape. And then also keep in mind that our mini canvas for this particular area is a triangle. So are we working nicely with this triangular shape? All right, so I think I'm gonna have to move some of these around. Like it's too crowded here. Grab the selection arrow, the black arrow, and you could just move it a little bit. So yeah, that you could see how that changes it, right? And I could feel the black is more of a shape. I'm just gonna move that a bit. Same thing over there. See, I did not lock all the layers, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock the background details as well, so that doesn't accidentally get activated. So like it's a little crowded over here, right? And maybe over here. Oh, I don't know if there's that much space for it to move. So these are the things you need to start playing with. And keep in mind that these are all vector shapes and they're pretty simple. Like this one is only 2 points, right? You could select just one of the points and you could pull it and change the shape a bit. Not sure if I like that. I'm gonna go back. Not sure if I like that. I kind of liked it short and stubby. So maybe I will leave that. I think I'll have to find a different solution. I think I need to just move this and maybe rotate it even. Yeah, so when things get this small, let's go in there and just move it down a teeny bit. Yeah, that's better. And I think I'll make it a little, just a teeny bit bigger. Grab the point, pull it up. There we go. All right, so now that's starting to feel better to me. And yeah, there we go. Right. So I'm going to zoom out again and see how that feels more like a triangle that's kind of moving in a certain direction. So that's what I want to keep aiming for each of these contour shapes. All right, so there's the throat. I'm going to speed ahead and I'm just going to try a couple of different ones. I created a few more layers and I'm going to turn off the original throat layer, and I did another one, different brush, different kind of patterning. This one is more kind of, it reads more right to left. I didn't quite get it to work so well. I don't know if I like it enough to even zoom in there and grab the direct selection tool to play with the points. There's a very different one. And again, not sure if I like this one enough to even play with this. Then the last one, I tried a much more textured brush. This I like this. So I would say it's between this one and that one for me. And again, they feel very different, right? This one feels almost like a fur and much smoother. This one feels, sometimes, you know, when you look at a bird's feathers in the light, it has a, I don't know, it has this texture to it that I feel like this design kind of captures. Anyway, these are the things to consider. I would keep at this point, I'll probably throw away the other two, keep throat 4 and keep the original one, and see what happens with the other shapes. That's often how you decide, right? After you're all done, you're gonna have this little triangle is gonna have to go with these other bordering triangles. All right, so this is really where the work is and where I think the enjoyment is. So now that you understand the process, play with it and have fun.